Hello, friends. Tia here, your San Francisco Bay Area luxury specialist. Today's video is your September 2020 market update. I bet you thought I forgot about you. And I am really busy. Real estate is rocking and rolling. But yes, I'm going to bring you your September 2020 market update. So if you are interested in real estate, and this is a real estate market update, by the way. So if you're interested in real estate, you don't want to miss a video. Don't forget to like if you like the content, subscribe if you want to hear each of these updates or don't want to miss an update, and uh, comment. Let me know if your experience is different. And that actually brings me, it's a great segue to what this market update covers. So remember, like, subscribe, and please do comment. So this September 2020 real estate market update is going to cover the two areas where I have active listings or I've just closed transactions. And so I'd like to focus this week or this month on Oakland in particular and Antioch as well, because that's where a lot of folks from the inner Bay Area, by which I mean closer to the Bay, are moving out to the Antioch area. So I'm starting to see a lot of pickup in that area, as many other realtors are. Another thing that I want to share, because it's very important to be specific when I'm talking in regards to real estate. So I'm talking about that aspect of the market where the list price is under $1 million. So that doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to sell for less than $1 million, but I'm talking about the under $1 million price point. And when you're thinking about real estate, what is very interesting to consider is there's actually a number of segments within the real estate market. So right now, I would say anything under 700,000, anything under 700,000 is a particular segment. I would say 700,000 to, let's say, 1.3 is another segment. Then 1.3 to, maybe 2.5 is another segment. And then the 2.5 and over isn't really my specialty. So I'm sure there are many, many other segments within that as well. The 2.5 to 5, probably 5 to 10, 20 million and over. But that's not really my specialty. So there may be other agents who can give you an update on that aspect of the market, but I'm talking today specifically about $1 million and under, which is absolutely flying off the shelves if houses were on shelves. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Oakland and Antioch in particular, and under $1 million list price. As opposed to sale price, right? Because your list price is what it comes on the market as. But as we all know, depending on where you are, the property is going to sell or might go into contract for more than what it was listed for. Now, your appraisal may not come in, and so you might be right back down to where the asking price was, or your appraisal might come in. So it just kind of depends on where you are. And certainly in Oakland, I'm seeing no problem whatsoever with appraisals because there's so many people willing to pay cash, and there's so many people that, and then once you have that cash close, that cash close of a similar property registers as a comp, a comparable property that any appraiser that comes thereafter has to use or should use, or the appraisal could be challenged if it's not used as a comp for your property. And so that keeps those close prices higher, which is of great importance to sellers who are looking to take out that equity as they make their next move. So I'm just going to look at my notes here. Oh, yes, I got that one. I got the current inventory, anything. And oh, yes. So I also, I'm going to include anything that I'm hearing from other realtors as well. There's no scientific polling going on. This is my personal experience as a realtor working with tons of buyers and sellers. So that's why their comment section down below becomes really important, because everybody's experience is unique, and you may have just had a close that was just something totally different from what I talk about today. And I would love to talk about that and make sure that it's included in our discussion, obviously not for today, but future discussion as the market changes, because of course this is a an update for 2020, September 2020, and things are constantly moving. And I'm sure that when I come back to you in October with our October market update, things will be different, but I'll get to that later. Oh, okay. Well, this looks like I am at later because I did want to give you a bit of a forecast. Oh, but I did forget to talk about what exactly is going on in the market night round. So, Oakland in particular, multiple offers. One thing that I am seeing, property selling way over list if they're priced accurately, which is something that you want to do because we are in September. And there's an assumption that I'm noticing with many of the buyers. Number one, that there's not a real consideration of fixing, getting fixers. Berkeley is still doing well because there's so little inventory in Berkeley that it seems like either there's a more sophisticated buyer or perhaps there's a more sophisticated agent that's explaining to people that if you want to get into Berkeley at all, but in particular under a million price point, you're going to have to do some fixing. And it's not going to be perfect when you move in, but you want to get in there. Now Oakland is a little different. We're larger, so of course we have more inventory. So I'm seeing a lot less of an appetite for fixers. And by that, I mean properties that just haven't even just had a very cosmetic once over with, updated flooring, nice clean cabinets and countertops. They don't necessarily have to be new, but they do need to be clean, maybe freshly painted, freshly scrubbed and then painted. And certainly with the bathrooms, if there's any cracks in the tiling or any missing grout, anything like that, you want to make sure that you take care of, because today's buyer, well, they're never really in a situation of looking at a property that's kind of and feeling like they could see themselves in it. But certainly now, today's COVID buyer, is probably moving right out of an apartment straight into this property. There's no like being able to hang out at friend's house or being able to hang out in mom and dad's house. They have to go right into their property. So one thing that we're doing a lot with properties is cleaning them twice. We're cleaning them once before we go on the market, and then we're cleaning them once before the buyer takes possession, which means moves in. That was a best practice even before COVID, but it's pretty much have to right now, right? Because when the seller moves out, and the seller will either move out prior to showings or after, you still want to feel like when you're transferring that property, it's gotten a nice, received a nice scrub before you hand it over to the buyer. So that is something that I'm definitely noticing as a trend, is the double cleanings. Certainly the property being much closer to move-in ready than sometimes in the past. And I'm noticing that buyers are willing to put up with a little bit more in terms of maybe not having every single item on the checklist, as long as it's got the yard, it's got the space, it's clean. So, maybe you don't have to have, a door that automatically opens and, says welcome when you come in. Buyers aren't necessarily needing that. What they're needing is space. What they're needing is it to be clean enough to move in and functional. And then I think they're realizing that, some of those other things they can build in over time. So I hope that was a pretty straightforward discussion as far as what I'm seeing in terms of buyers are concerned. Now, what I've noticed in the Antioch market is also multiple offers. So what's happening with inner Bay Area folks is they're realizing that there's these amazing values out here in Antioch, amazing mature neighborhoods with great neighbors, excellent diversity, and amazing homes with many bedrooms and bathrooms for a much, maybe half of what they would have to pay in San Francisco. Certainly maybe a third of what you would pay in San Francisco and a half of what you would pay in Oakland. So now the challenging thing with Antioch has been the appraisals, and it's understandable, and it's not like the appraisers are trying to make our lives hard, but every time there is a bubble, the appraisers get blamed. So they're being very, very cautious. And so I have seen appraisals coming in short in Antioch. There's less cash out there as well. So there's less closes that are based on, you know, cash. I mean, if you had 50 people closing in cash, that might be able to help as far as keeping those appraisals up, but they're being very, very conservative out there. So that's something to watch, especially if you are working with sellers, and then certainly with your buyers, to let them know. It's actually to the buyer's benefit, but to let them know that that might happen, and there might be some kind of negotiation that needs to occur based on a short appraisal. That's where the skill comes in as far as being a skilled negotiator, to be able to keep that contract together. So that's your current market conditions, multiple offers. If you're a seller, make sure your property is presented as best it can. Everyone has a budget. A good agent will keep you in that budget, but kind of maximize your budget. The things that you've always wanted to do are maybe not the same thing as what a buyer's looking for. I always say today's buyer is looking for the HGTV look. So, that's not to say that when they open the cabinet, we don't mind if it falls onto the ground, because of course the first thing they're going to do is open and close the kitchen cabinets, maybe open and close an appliance to see if it's new, the fridge. But they're not going to open and close windows. So that's, maybe something, that, I mean, they're going to want to open a window, I'm sure, in the time of owning the home. But, a realtor will show you different things. Oh, this is what I always see people, opening and closing. So we want to make sure those work perfectly. And we want to make sure it has that HGTV look. It's not rocket science, but what I notice happens with sellers is they get very emotional about what it is that they've always wanted to do to the house, and that's not necessarily what needs to be done to make it marketable. So that's why you need a trained professional to consult with you on those issues. Now, forecast, because that is something that I've started putting in my videos, because that's really what everybody wants to know. Where are we going from here? CAR, at last check, called a strong market until the end of October, I believe, which I think is a great call. NAR just called a strong market to the end of the year, which I hope is the case. Usually what I have noticed is certainly, and this is the hard thing about making a call for the entire country, on the East Coast, you start getting weather. And I mean, we have weather here too, but it's nothing, there's no snow or inability to traverse roads, or, we get rained on, and that'll dampen our real estate market here in California for sure, specifically Northern California. I absolutely hope that is true as far as the end of the year. Personally, I am trying to get all of my sellers through escrow by the election. And I actually have recently read something about a post-election bounce, which, happens both in the stock market as well as in real estate. If the real estate and finance people all decide through some sort of conventional wisdom that they're happy with the outcome. So that is possible as well. And I couldn't begin to try to figure out which candidate would be the one that would give the post-election bounce, right? Because I don't know what it is they're looking at as criteria. But for me personally, I am trying to counsel my clients to get on as soon as they can and either be done with escrow or almost done with escrow prior to the election, simply because when there is that kind of uncertainty, it makes it very difficult for a buyer to focus on purchasing a home. Now, it could be that because of what's gone on with the pandemic, that buyers, there's just so much demand and so much pent-up demand as far as people being unable to get into properties, that it could drive the market, continue to drive the market as it has been. And, some of the things that have been helping real estate, which are not having a place to spend your money because there's nothing to do safely, they'll still be there. Those elements will still be there. And, a lot of these situations where you're having people that are, let's say getting 10 offers on a property. So when the next property comes up, there's 9 people. And when the next property comes up, there's 8. And the next property, there's 7. You know, is that really the case, or are there more people that are coming into the market as well? So it's still 10 offers. It's hard for me to say because a lot of my listings aren't even getting to offer date. So I can't say, oh, well, I had 20 offers and then I had exactly the same type of property in the same neighborhood. And then the next time we had 19 offers. And then the next time we had 18 offers, because that's just not been my experience. My experience has been that I've had multiple people that have come for the properties before I could even make it to an actual official offer date. So it would be interesting to see what those statistics are, and it could very well be why NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors, I'm sorry, and CAR is California Association of Realtors. So the California estimate was more conservative than the national estimate, but perhaps the national estimate is a little bit more generous, again saying that the market will be good until the end of the year because they're seeing all of this demand. And we're still seeing a situation where there's not enough inventory for all the people that want to buy. So even with the uncertainty of a general election, the market is still, they're still seeing the fundamentals are there to be able to have a strong market. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of why it's entirely possible that there could be a strong market to the end of the year. But I wouldn't bank on it. Personally, if I had a listing coming on, I'd be on right now because things are really great right now. So anyway, that's it. Just a quick, too late, market update and market forecast or future forecast. If you like today's video, don't forget to like. Don't forget to make a comment because I'm interested to hear what your perspective is and in other Bay Area markets, and what your thoughts are we going to make it to the end of the year in real estate, or is it all going to fall off a cliff? And that's actually a good idea for another video, so I will do that next time. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and meanwhile, be well, stay safe, wear your mask for many reasons, and take care, and we'll see you next time.